judging the guilty and encouraging the innocent. This is Courtroom 790, radio's first and only interactive radio courtroom. Be part of the jury at 800-ABC KABC. That's 800-222-5222. This is Courtroom 790 on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Today in Courtroom 790, the docket includes Black delivery driver versus Lowe's. Should Lowe's be prosecuted for discriminating against its own employee? Disabled visitor versus Disney California Adventure. Should severely handicapped patrons be barred from moving rides at all amusement parks? Fired officer versus Dallas police. Should the officer have been fired before the completion of the criminal investigation? These cases and more in Courtroom 790 is now in session.
Honored to be here this morning. My name is Judge Brian Claypool in Courtroom 790, and I am filling in for Judge Leo Terrell, who is out on assignment this morning. Happy to be here this morning, and this show works best if you call in. We need you to call in and be part of the jury. Give us your live testimony on air, and that's what really makes this show work best. And first up, and before I start with the first case on the docket, you might have remembered my name as one of the lead lawyers in the Miramonte child abuse case. We fought for 3 years on that case and reached a very favorable settlement for many kids in that case. And also I do regular TV commentary on CNN and as a legal analyst on National Fox. And periodically I also appear on Good Morning America. So happy to be here again this morning. Let's start with the first case on the docket. And this case involves a black delivery driver versus Lowe's. Now, if you can believe this, you might have heard about this last night. A Lowe's delivery man, African-American man, named Marcus Bradley, he was on his way to deliver a product to a woman, to a white woman. And he was halfway there, and then he gets a phone call from somebody in Lowe's saying, hey, wait a minute, turn around. We don't want you to deliver that product because this white lady said she did not want a black man delivering a product to her house, if you could believe that. We're in 2015, but that is a true story. And what Lowe's did is they called the Marcus back and they sent a white driver out to the woman's house to deliver the product. So the question for us today on the first case on the docket is, should Lowe's be prosecuted for discrimination against its own employee? Remember, we're in a climate right now where laws have been enacted, anti-discrimination laws have been enacted all across the nation, and we recently had a U.S. Supreme Court decision dealing with anti-discrimination. So that's the question. Let me lay out for you first, before I give you my preliminary opinion on this, I want to lay out for you a little bit of evidence here. Check out Exhibit 1 for your consideration on this case.
And then I got a phone call on the phone telling me to bring the delivery back, saying that I couldn't do the delivery.
Here is Exhibit 2 that I'd like you to consider before you call in.
I asked him why I couldn't do it, and he said because you're black and they don't want you at the house.
Okay. Let me hear that again. I'm not sure I heard that. Did I hear this right? Let me hear this again.
I asked him why I couldn't do it, and he said because you're black and they don't want you at the house.
Because he's black and they don't want him at his house, okay? Exhibit 3 for your consideration.
To me, it just ain't right for a business that we work at to go on with the woman's wishes.
And I want you to consider Exhibit 4.
When the two returned to the store, Bradley was replaced by a white driver.
Did I hear that right?
When the two returned to the store, Bradley was replaced by a white driver.
So Bradley was replaced by a white driver. Lowe's did send a white driver out there. Let me have you please consider Exhibit 5. Before I play Exhibit 5, though, I need you to call in because we need your input to help this process work. I'm going to give you my opinion, and then I need you to call in, be a live witness. If you've never done this before, what a great opportunity. You could either help validate what my preliminary opinion is, or you can persuade me to change my opinion. But here is Exhibit 5.
Well, I just want to know your side of the story, if it's true or not.
I got a right to have whatever I want, and that's it.
Do you feel bad about the delivery driver?
No, I don't feel bad about nothing.
Let's hear that.
Well, I just want to know your side of the story, if it's true or not.
I got a right to have whatever I want, and that's it.
Do you feel bad about the delivery driver?
No, I don't feel bad about nothing.
So the white woman who requested a white person to deliver the Lowe's product doesn't feel bad about anything. Let's check out the final Exhibit 6 for your consideration.
I mean, I thought that Lowe's would take up for me.
So Marcus thought Lowe's would stick up for him, and I thought Lowe's would stick up for him as well. Let me give you my preliminary opinion on this. And my opinion on this case is that Lowe's should be prosecuted by the Virginia State Attorney General. There's absolutely no place in our society for a business, especially a big business like Lowe's, that caters, by the way, to families, for them to be discriminating against this black employee, Marcus Bradley, simply because a white spineless woman calls in and says, I want a white person to deliver a product. And the remedy here, I believe, is that the under the anti-discrimination statutes that we have in all states across the country, the Attorney General can come in, they can file a lawsuit under this statute, and at least seek a fine against Lowe's to hold them accountable for this discriminatory conduct. I don't want to hear any excuses about Lowe's saying, well, he was just a manager, and oh, by the way, we fired him. Because if you're the head of a company and one of your employees is endorsing a discriminatory practice, then you as the owner of that business are responsible for that nefarious conduct. So that's my preliminary ruling, that we should take this one step further. The Virginia State Attorney General should get involved, should file a lawsuit, and should seek at least minimally a fine. And also, I think the State Attorney General should also seek or enforce some type of sensitivity training and force Lowe's to retrain every single one of its management employees. All right, let's take the first call. Morris in Los Angeles, I'd like to hear from you.
Yes, I agree with Lowe's, and that's because if you're at the airport, I want an American-made driving me in a taxi cab. I don't want one of the Middle Easterners. When you go see a doctor, I don't want a foreign doctor examining me. I want American-made. They have a right to choose. They're paying for it.
Right.
And I have that preference. So, yes, I do agree with the lady, whoever's accepting the delivery back east.
Right. So you don't think, Morris, that would create more discrimination across the nation? We already live in a society with rioting in Ferguson and Baltimore with the Freddie Gray. You don't think this would make things worse?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, thank you for your view. I'll take that under consideration.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, let's take a short break here in a few seconds, and court will be back in recess for your continued live testimony on the case. Thank you. Okay. Welcome back to Courtroom 790 on Talk Radio KABC 790. I'd like to take a phone call from Ron in Pasadena. Ron, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this case?
So help me God.
All right. Tell me what say you on this case?
Well, with Morris, where he's getting it wrong is that the woman, if she wants to go ahead and, she has a private property and she decides she wants certain people in her house or exclude certain people from her house, that's her business. Lowe's, however, my understanding is a public company. They allow members of the public in. My understanding of the laws on that is that's the reason they cannot discriminate. They can't say we're open to the members of the public, but we're going to exclude blacks.
Right.
And the same thing is happening in this kind of situation. What they should have done was simply say, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you're just going to have to take whoever you get or do business somewhere else. Right.
Good point. And what Lowe's could have said is, I'm not going to do business with a racist woman, don't you think?
Even better.
Yeah, great. Thanks for your input, Ron. And let me play this this tape back. And by the way, Marcus Bradley, this is Exhibit 2, is the actual African American driver.
I asked him why I couldn't do it, and he said because you're black and they don't want you at the house.
Okay, with Exhibit 2 being considered again, let's take a phone call from Fernando Fernando in Downey. I'm sorry, Fernando, you there?
I'm there, sir.
All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this case?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. What say you, Fernando?
You know, shame on Lowe's. Shame on Lowe's on not having any common sense from the manager who made this call to replace the black driver. I'm insulted as a minority and as a parent. You know, this driver has a family to provide for, and you imagine how he felt when they told him, "Hey, you can't deliver because you're black." That's terrible.
Yeah, that's a great point. Nobody's focusing on how Marcus Bradley felt. And apparently Lowe's is sending Superman over. He's flying over there in the air right now to make an apology to Marcus Bradley. And I don't think that's enough. I think
wrong. It's wrong. What's he going to tell his children? What's he going to tell his child? I mean, I couldn't deliver because I'm black?
Well, it's humiliating. Not only that, but it's propagating racism in our society, especially during a time where we were having tremendous discord, racial discord. As I mentioned before, in Ferguson, you had a state of emergency, and then you had a disturbance down in Baltimore with Freddie Gray. It's a very sensitive time, and we wouldn't even be talking about this right now, but for Lowe's not taking the moral high road and telling this hick lady down in Virginia to go pound sand. Thanks for your call, Fernando. I appreciate it. Let's take another call from David in Los Angeles. David, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I never swear. I affirm. An Orthodox Jew, so I don't swear. But yes.
Well, that makes one of us. I do swear, but I won't on the air. But go ahead.
Okay. You've been selective in what you're giving us. You don't know. We don't hear the conversation between the woman and Lowe's. We don't know what the product is, and the customer's right. You may not like it. I may not like it. I don't know what transpired, but excuse me, you don't tell us the conversation between Lowe's and the woman.
Hey, David, check out Exhibit 5.
Well, I just want to know your side of the story, if it's true or not.
I got a right to have whatever I want, and that's it.
Do you feel bad about the delivery driver?
No, I don't feel bad about nothing.
I don't feel bad about nothing. That doesn't change your mind?
That's the woman. That's not the Lowe's employee. What the conversation was.
But that's a woman who is purely racist, and you're telling me that that's acceptable in 2015?
I didn't say it was acceptable.
Lowe's,
I never said.
Okay, what do you? What,
wait a minute. In order to charge the company with discrimination against the black driver, you have to know about what the conversation was between the company and the woman, and you've never shown us that. Tape recording or the recording between two. That's what's missing.
Well, David, last time I checked, whenever I order a product from somewhere, I don't think I get a sheet of paper giving me a questionnaire on whether I want a black person delivering it, an Asian person, or a Hispanic person delivering it.
But you don't. No, but you. Excuse me for saying.
Yeah.
You have there's a piece of information missing.
All right. Hey, David,
what was
check
the conversation between Lowe's and the woman. Why don't you want a black guy? You don't give that piece of information.
David, what do you think in that conversation between the woman and Lowe's would change your mind or reaffirm your opinion?
If I knew what the conversation was between Lowe's and the woman.
Okay, check out Exhibit 6 again. This is Marcus Bradley, the Lowe's driver.
I mean, I thought that Lowe's would take up for me.
And here's Exhibit 7 again for your consideration. Marcus Bradley, again, the driver.
I mean, I got to work. I'm going to keep going to work every day like I've always done. Yeah. But I would think that Lowe's would take it into consideration of thinking about what they were doing next time.
Let's take, thank you, Dave. Let's take one more call. John over in Santa Monica. John, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yeah, I do.
What say you on this, John?
First of all, you have to tell the truth. You know?
Well, what am I not saying that's truthful?
Well, they said on the news yesterday that Lowe's, when they found out that the supervisor did that, they fired him, and he said he has zero tolerance for that. You
can't run a major company, a Fortune 500 company, and simply use a manager as a scapegoat for what?
They got people that do their own stuff. I knew some managers that did their own stuff against company policies, the way I worked at, and they got fired when they found out.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I believe that employees are a byproduct of the environment that is created by upper management, and I think here we have a situation where the Lowe's manager did not exercise prudence, and Lowe's needs to be held responsible for that. Let's take a short recess. Courtroom 790 KABC Talk Radio is in a short break.
Oyez, oyez, oyez. Courtroom 790 is back in session.
We are back. My name is Judge Brian Claypool in Courtroom 790, and I'm filling in this morning for Judge Leo Terrell. And before I talk about the first case on the docket that we have been talking about, if you're feeling a little bit shy out there, a little bit timid about calling in, my Twitter handle is Brian, BRIAN _ Claypool, CLAYPOOL. Feel free to tweet me. I'll take a look at your tweet, and then I'll have Rosemary get you on, and you can give us some live testimony that way as well, if that'll help you feel more comfortable getting on the show. But again, all of you make the show work by calling in. We've been getting some great calls. Back to the first case on the docket. It involves a black delivery driver that works for Lowe's in Virginia, was in the process of delivering a product to a white woman. He's halfway to her house. She calls up Lowe's and says, hey, I don't want a black guy delivering the product to my house. I want a white guy. And the question is, in 2015, should Lowe's face legal consequences for this discriminatory act by its manager? And more specifically, should Lowe's be prosecuted by the state attorney general in Virginia to set an example? And here we are back with the calls, and I'd like to take a call from Tim. Tim?
Hi.
Before you speak, I need you to take that oath. Can you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts, first and foremost, I would say is that I would not hold Lowe's responsible. And I'll say that I am a black businessman, and I do not believe that a company can be held responsible for trying to provide excellent customer service to an extraordinarily ignorant customer. They can't be held any more responsible for that ignorant customer than you can be held responsible for some of the ignorant calls that you get from folks that actually accept racism and don't think that it's a bad thing. I think the thing that needs to be done is that the people in that area need to recognize that they have options. One of those options is not to shop at Lowe's. We'll go to Home Depot and then let Lowe's determine exactly what it wants to do regarding that.
Well, that's a good point. But let me ask you a question, Tim. If you were running a company, do you believe that you would be responsible for the actions of your employees? All right, Tim left us. Let's take another call. Let's take Mary. Okay. All right. Let's take a recess here. Court's in recess here. Courtroom 790 on KABC Radio.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Testimony continues now on the only interactive radio court show, Courtroom 790.
Okay. Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is Judge Brian Claypool in Courtroom 790, filling in for Judge Leo Terrell. The first case on our docket involves a black delivery driver employed by Lowe's who was asked by a white customer to not deliver her product because he was black. And my preliminary ruling in this case was that Lowe's should be prosecuted by the Virginia State Attorney General and at least fined and be required to give sensitivity training to its employees. Let's take some further live testimony. Keith.
Yeah.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what say you on this case?
I think morally, Lowe's should have told her to go pound sand. I really do. Now, legally, no, I don't think they should prosecute it. I think you can't legislate ignorance and stupidity out of the equation, unfortunately.
You don't think that prosecuting them and at least fining them and have this be in the public eye some more might actually create change in discriminatory practices by management in big companies?
No, not this particular case, because the foundation in which you're coming from, or that would be from, is actually untenable. I don't believe the foundation is correct. I think the idea is right. I understand the emotion behind it, but no, I think in this case, I think it's not right.
Well, thank you for your testimony, Keith. Mary.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, what is your testimony in this case?
I'm assuming here, but I would believe that Lowe's is an equal opportunity employer, and I think that by requesting that the white driver go in place of the African-American driver would be in violation of that. I think that, yes, I think Lowe's should be held accountable.
But do you think that Lowe's should actually be prosecuted by the state attorney general?
Yes, I don't think that they're conforming to equal opportunity.
All right, thank you.
That doesn't sound like equal opportunity to me.
Yeah, thank you for your opinion.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Let's take a call from Alex. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, Alex, what's your testimony?
Well, I think that Lowe's should not be held accountable. One of your previous callers just said you can't really legislate what some idiot is thinking. Let's say if this was a medical delivery company and this person suffers from emphysema, you're not going to deliver oxygen to let the person suffocate because it's an idiot.
Well, that's a different that's a situation of life or death. But don't you think that a manager in upper management at a Fortune 500 company who is subscribing to racial animus, is it possible that that is a sign of a systemic racial problem within a company like Lowe's? Is that possible?
It could be. I mean, but then would you rather the manager lie to the person and say, you know what, you're being rerouted. Come back to the store and not tell them anything?
I think Lowe's should have stepped up and said, see you later. We're going to deal with customers who are not racist. Thank you for your call, Alex.
You're welcome.
Let's take Linda. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, what's your testimony on this case?
Well, I'm completely outraged. This is outrageous that this is still going on in 2015. Do they not know what vicarious liability is? I think that the only way to affect change is through their pocketbook. Yes, the Attorney General's office needs to fine them.
Great. Thanks for your input, Linda. And when we come back from the break, I'm going to give you my final opinion in this case. You're listening to Courtroom 790 KABC Talk Radio.
Courtroom 790 is in momentary recess. More to come after the break on Talk Radio 790 KABC. Oyez, oyez, oyez. Courtroom 790 is back in session.
Talk Radio 790 KABC. This is Judge Brian Claypool in Courtroom 790, filling in for the Honorable Judge Leo Terrell. We're finishing up on the first case in our docket. It involves a black delivery driver employed by Lowe's. He was delivering a product to a white woman. She did not want a black man delivering the product. Lowe's acquiesced to her request and rerouted the black driver and sent a white driver over to her house. I'd like to refresh your memory if you're just tuning in as well. Here are a couple exhibits for your consideration. Exhibit 1 is Marcus Bradley, the driver.
And then I got a phone call on the phone telling me to bring the delivery back, saying that I couldn't do the delivery.
Okay, and here's Exhibit 2. Here's Marcus again.
I asked him why I couldn't do it, and he said because you're black and they don't want you at the house.
He did say that. And here's Exhibit 4.
When the two returned to the store, Bradley was replaced by a white driver.
And check out Exhibit 7 for your consideration.
I mean, I got to work. I'm going to keep going to work every day like I've always done. Yeah. But I would think that Lowe's would take it into consideration of thinking about what they were doing next time.
Yeah, Marcus, you do make sense because I agree with you. Let's take one last call before I give you my final ruling. Tanaya.
Mm-hmm.
Tanaya, did I pronounce your name right?
That's right.
Awesome. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
What's your thought on this? What's your testimony?
Well, as a person who works in healthcare as a student nurse, I don't think that Lowe's should be held liable for providing customer service to a person who unfortunately is stupid. There's been instances where patients may tell me that they don't want me to touch them because I'm a black nurse.
You've had that happen to you?
Oh, I've had that happen.
I'm just curious. How did you feel when a patient told you that?
It's hurtful, but at the same time, you have to put it aside and say, you know what? The goal here is to provide patient care. And so what I did is I went and I informed the nurse supervisor that, this patient does not want a black person touching them, and they got a different nurse to help that patient.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, unfortunately, racism is a cancer that just keeps spreading.
Well, thank you for
in our country.
Yeah, thank you for your testimony, Tanaya, and I am ready to issue my final decision in this case. Even though Tanaya has told us that racism continues and we should, in effect, accept the fact that a customer wants to be racist, I couldn't disagree with that more. I think that what Lowe's did is reprehensible and it's divisive in our country, especially given the racial discord that we're experiencing across the country. In Ferguson, Missouri, we had Baltimore recently, in South Carolina with Walter Scott, Eric Garner in New York City. We have a lot of racial tension right now. And in each instance where there is a company that has employees subscribing to racial animus, there has to be a legal consequence, or else this pathetic attitude and behavior will continue, and it will continue then to divide this country and lead to more unrest throughout the country. So my final decision is the Attorney General in Virginia should set an example with Lowe's, file a lawsuit, and seek at least a fine against Lowe's. And in addition to that, more importantly, get a court order mandating that Lowe's engage in sensitivity training with all of its employees to obviate this ever happening again.